Welcome to Needham School Spotlight. I'm Dan Goodekanst, Superintendent of Schools. Joining me today are 4 new administrators who are providing leadership in 4 of our schools, and I'm really happy to welcome and have a conversation with Aaron Seacott, our new principal at Needham High School, Greg Bays, new principal at Mitchell, Keith Ford, new assistant principal at Needham High School, and Trelane Clark, who is joining us at Newman as new assistant principal. Thank you for being here and welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Aaron and Greg, I'm going to start with you first because you're actually not new to Needham, but you are new to your role. So Greg, what's this path and how long have you been in Needham?
Yeah, I started working in Needham in 2006 at the Elliott Elementary School as a guidance counselor, moved from there to the Newman Elementary School as assistant principal, and now I'm very honored to take the role of principal at the Mitchell School.
Wow, you've had quite a journey. Before that, you were at the Walker School.
Yeah, actually before that I was working in Needham as well. I worked 8 years at the Walker School, which is a private special education school just by the Dover line, down by the bridge that covers the Charles. So it's been most of my career going up and down Central Avenue, and now veered off onto Brookline Street.
We got you a different part of town.
That's right, on a different part of town.
Good. And Aaron, how about you? This is a new role for you, but you've been in Needham.
My 4th year here now in Needham, 3 years before this as assistant principal, and thrilled to now be in this position. I had 10 years of being an English teacher and still miss that daily, and was excited though years ago to step into an administrative role, and about 8 years in total as an assistant principal, and now a grand total of 3 months as principal. It's going well so far. Really excited to still be in this community. It's a fantastic community, really. The parental support, the quality of students, the exceptional teachers that we get to work with. It's really like the great spot. Now some new administrators that I'm excited to be working with as well. So excited to be here in the high school.
Well, I know that in checking in with a few of you over the summer, I would say, how's it going? And you all say, well, it's going great so far. The students aren't here. So, but now the students are here and it's still going great. So I'm glad to hear
absolutely.
that. Trelane, why don't you tell us a little bit about your path to Needham? How did you end up at Newman, and what have you been doing to prepare yourself for this new role?
Wow. Well, I decided that I wanted to celebrate my 20th year in education with a bang and make yet another transition. In Needham, I had some great successes in the school district, and so I decided to check it out. I've been working in public and private, urban and suburban. I've kind of been all around, Episcopal, Christian, all kinds of things. So, so I bring a lot of that to the table, and so far it's been wonderful.
Let me ask you a little bit. So you have these different background of private, public. So what are some of the differences between private and public? I mean, I have a sense, I came from a private school initially when I was teaching. The kids are all the same.
They are.
Right, but any other differences or similarities?
I think some things are just sort of the different emphasis on different parts of the academic process. You know, private schools tend to obviously be a lot more broad in terms of what they choose to focus on and have a lot more autonomy, a lot more choice, whereas public schools have some of the mandated things and have a little trouble balancing the desire for autonomy and then, you know, doing what they actually really have to do by the state. So sometimes that can be a rub, but kids are definitely kids, and parents are definitely parents, and they bring wonderful things to the table, as do the kids. So.
Yeah. Well, good, thank you. And so Keith comes to us from the Randolph Public Schools.
Yes.
So what's that pathway from Randolph to Needham? How did that all come about?
Really, honestly, it became, we had a trip, an educators workshop for the Marines in March, and I had a fortunate opportunity to meet a colleague now of mine, James Ash, a guidance counselor. He was on that trip as well. And so through our interaction throughout the week down in South Carolina, he was really just talking about what are some of the great things that are going on in Needham. I was telling him the things that I was doing at Randolph High School as the dean of students and head football coach. But him and I seemed to have a rapport right away. And one of the conversations that we had was talking about, really elevating our kids to get to the mindset of understanding who they are. So identity was very important to them, and really looking at, as we saw what the military was doing and the structure that was in place. He began to talk about some of the structure that was in place at Needham. And that was something that I was looking for, that I was desiring after, finding consistency, finding a place where, that not only were staff members all on the same page, but members of the community were online and on board. And once we started that hiring process, that's what I found right away. The parents within the community, local businesses, staff, students, they seem to have that one mindset, that pride of being a Rocket. And that was something that was attractive to me right away. And I'm thankful for being here for that.
And in your new role as assistant principal, you have responsibility for which grades or which areas?
So I'm responsible for the 9th grade, A through G, and the sophomore class. So we're excited. Our theme for this year and throughout the next 3 years will be Leave a Legacy. That's something that we want to try to do, not only just for Needham High School, but beyond that, really leaving a mark and touching somebody else, understanding that it's not just about us individually, but how do you help someone else.
Well, I love too that you're responsible for sophomores. Sophomores are my favorite high school students.
Yeah.
They're just, they're right on that bridge between some of this youthful behavior and adult behavior, and it's great to watch it. One of the things I'm curious about, as you both come from new communities and you're both in new roles, is how are you making that transition, and what does that look like? What are you doing? What actions are you taking to learn a little bit about the new community, for example, Greg, that you're in at Mitchell? What are the things that are happening for you to learn about this community?
Having worked in Needham for 10 and going on 11 years, is making sure that I approach Mitchell, the parents, the students, with a really open mind and not a preconceived notion of, I know Needham students, I know Needham parents. Because in fact, while there are similarities, and kids are kids and parents are parents everywhere, each community, even within Needham, has its own needs and has its own desires for their children. And so for me, it's been a really, I think, enjoyable process of spending time with kids, attending different parent events, attending different parent meetings, and having individual meetings with the teachers and all the staff at Mitchell. That's been, for me, a great way to get to know people, both what it is that they feel like makes Mitchell a strong community and where they feel like we need to continue to work together as a team to continue to improve. Because although Mitchell is certainly a wonderful community, a strong, vibrant academic community, it doesn't stay that way unless we continue to work and push it in different directions. So, but my goal has not been to show up with my own ideas about what direction that should be and my own ideas about what mandates should be, but to help the community discern what that is and to move forward together.
How about at Needham High School? I mean, in a similar way, unlike Greg, you're in the same building with the same community. Folks, kind of know you, but it's a different role, and it's you're trying to learn your way through it and get to know folks.
Yeah, there's a lot that I feel fortunate to have coming into a lot of knowledge and understanding, sense of the community, the culture, even coming into the position. But like Greg, I've really worked hard to make sure that I'm not assuming anything. And even last spring in the transition, it was nice to have the time as assistant principal in the position or in the building before becoming principal. Really have started lots of conversations with all members of the community, both within the building and now throughout the summer and beyond outside the building. Really refreshing conversations. It's been nice to kind of hear different perspectives, and sometimes it's confirming some of the things that I've already experienced myself in the last 3 years, and other times it's a fresh set of eyes or perspective on kind of how things work or concerns that people have or suggestions even that they have. So it's been, I think, really helpful. I had a conversation with a group of parents before the open house. I invited people in early and wasn't really sure. We hadn't done that before. Wasn't sure how many parents were going to come, and had, I would say, close to 200 parents by the end who were there listening. Nice question and answer session and good open dialogue. I'm going to be doing some in-home coffees in the evenings We're working on the schedule right now, so
you'll be going to
I'll be going into
different
people's
families
homes
and having a cup of coffee,
Yep.
getting to meet
They will
different
be
neighborhoods.
inviting some of their neighbors or their friends over, small groups, a dozen maybe at most, just small, intimate conversations. Trying to engage parents who are really invested in their kids' experience here, but haven't necessarily been able to come to meetings or some of the other traditional opportunities.
You know, and I found too that even when you're able to do that, if you're able to go into someone's home, for example, and sit around and folks are there, it's more informal, it's a little bit more
Absolutely.
relaxed, it's a little bit more on their territory, if you will, and the conversation inevitably is more relaxed, perhaps more candid and open. So
That's
I think
what I'm
that's
hoping
a good way. A good way to do that. Well, Keith and Trelane, I'm curious to know what you've been doing as well to learn. We began the school year. I encourage the staff to be curious and develop relationships. How have you been doing that, Keith, at Needham High School for you to get to know about the community?
Building relationships is key. I've been meeting with, first of all, I wanted to meet with the staff, so I met with all the department chairs and directors and really try to get a feel of, how are their programs going? What's going on in their particular departments? We've working on the other Westmore as a one book, one school. Just really figuring out ways. How are they incorporating, the other Westmore in math and science and things like that. So trying to get a feel of what they're doing there, and then also asking the question with everyone that I met with, how can I best support them, and really get, are getting that feedback, understanding where they come from there. Also getting outside in the community, being part of the Needham Coalition for Youth Substance Abuse Prevention. Being part of that group has really enlightened my horizon on a couple things as far as, what does the town feel as far as alcohol and substance abuse and things like that, and really try to get involved in that and be there for them. Also meeting parents, being accessible to them. We've had several parent nights, similar to what Mr. Seacott was talking about, just really getting a feel from them. What are their thoughts as far as where the direction of Needham High School is going, and how can I best support? So some of the things, being around for athletics plays another factor, being another role, and being around talking with parents and members of communities there. So just really being accessible, throughout the town is what we're trying to focus on for this year.
And I know the students appreciate when you're able to, particularly some of those freshmen and sophomores, you're able to show up at a game
Correct.
and cheer them on. It's a different way, another way to develop a relationship and trust in what you're doing.
Right.
Trelane, I know there are a lot of activities at Newman, different PTC, back to school nights and fall activities. What have you been focused on in learning about the community?
Well, I've been doing all those things. But like everyone else, the building relationships piece is probably number one for me. I too met with all of the, not all, but as many teachers as I possibly could, starting in the late summer, but throughout September. One-on-one 15-minute meetings just to say, who you are and what would you like me to know about you, and how can I, what would you like to see me do in this role. Greg definitely left his legacy at Newman and definitely set me up really well in terms of coming in with a lot of background knowledge that I think was very helpful, that people were kind of like, oh, you already know that. So that has been helpful. But one of the most important pieces for me is getting to know the kids. There are over 700 children at Newman, and I am constantly trying to learn names.
And
I am.
Yeah.
I learned all of the faculty names probably within the first week and a half of school. So that was, everyone was like, oh my gosh. But that's very important because people need to know that they are important, and that's a really huge focus for me. So just getting to know what's happening in the classrooms and being visible and just being out there, talking with parents. Back to school night was amazing and wonderful, and got to meet a lot of folks then. So still getting to know all the different programs that are there and how these different programs work to support the teachers, to support students is very important. So working on that.
I think that sometimes perhaps parents and students, outsiders anyhow, might think that we start this new role as an assistant principal, and you just kind of hit the ground running, and you know what to do and where everything is and who everybody is. And the reality is, it takes time to get to know the students' names. It takes time to get to know the community, And I've said to all of you, and to many folks, that it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. To take your time to develop those relationships you talked about, Keith, pays huge dividends in your knowledge, but also in folks' ability to trust who you are and your intentions and what you're trying to do. And it just takes time. It takes I would argue it takes many years actually to really spend time developing relationships. I am curious to know, so what have you learned about yourself, or what have you learned about this community that's new? That, you know, as you drive home, or you're telling a spouse, or you're telling a friend, this is what's going on in my head about this place right now, or this job. What would it be, Aaron? What would it be?
I can't say new. I think it's just been confirmed. This is a really unique place.
What does that mean?
Well, I've had the good fortune of being in 3 different districts in my career, and the combination of community supports, both parents specifically and especially, but also even more broadly, the incredible curiosity that the students come in with, the passion, excitement they come in with every single day, the appreciation they have at the end of lessons, saying thank you to their teachers.
You hear that all the time.
We hear that all the time, all the time.
Yeah.
And in part because we have exceptional teachers who are leading them and really trying to challenge them, inspire them. And as Trillian was talking about, that balance between what do we need to do and what do we love to do, and trying to find that perfect blend and make sure that the kids are really inspired as, you know, every single day, ideally, every single lesson, and getting those key skills and content knowledge. It comes together in a way that I haven't seen, and I've been in some really good districts, and it comes together in Needham in just really unique ways. And so I'm just thrilled to be here.
I've rediscovered, I think, at Mitchell, which I knew was true at Newman and at Elliott before that, and my son went to Broadmeadow and Pollard in high school, so I feel like I have a little bit of a pulse of every building, is that the teachers in this district work hard, but also really genuinely care about the kids. Even before this taping this morning, I was over at Mitchell, and a teacher stopped me in the hallway because she was concerned here in the middle of October about a student who is reading on grade level, but she doesn't feel like is reaching his capacity, reaching his capability. And I know that those conversations are easy to not happen in some towns. But here in Needham, I think people really do remember that each kid is an individual and work on each kid as an individual being successful academically, personally, socially, and it's just a really important thing to me too. It's one of the reasons I'm so happy to be able to stay in Needham, because I know that's not true everywhere. It is true other places, but it's not true everywhere, and it makes me very, I think, fortunate and grateful to be here in Needham.
Name one thing that maybe has been a change of routine for you.
A change of routine? Well,
principal.
coming from Newman, where arrival and dismissal take 45 minutes at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, to Mitchell.
Like the airport there sometimes.
Yeah,
in
it's
the
like
morning.
the airport. So, I'm
Yeah.
standing outside in the snow and the rain. I've gifted that to you, Trillian. Standing outside in the snow and rain with an umbrella. To Mitchell, where there's still 500 students, but one bus that a dozen kids take. You snap your fingers and dismissal's over and everyone's gone. So that is a big change.
That's a different routine
change
for you.
It is a huge change.
What's something you've learned about yourself or the Newman community? It's only been a few months, I know, but
Yeah.
Bring your galoshes.
I'm working on getting some of those. I think that I have learned I guess, again, sort of confirmed the importance of listening and asking questions. And those questions are based on observation. So that's why I'm just watching a lot of things. I'm asking questions to get information, to get understanding, and learning about the community in that way. And a lot of those, when the drives home, are me sort of thinking about, I wonder why, or I wonder how, or I wonder who thinks this about that, or who actually is in charge of that. So some of those things actually happen as well. But I would echo Aaron and Greg as well. And teachers work incredibly hard in this district, and you can see that. They're there super early. My key card didn't work before 7, so it's like, wow. The kids come at 8:30, so they are there. They are working hard. They're staying late, and really committed to working with us as an administration as well. And that is definitely something that is very appreciated.
it is pretty amazing to see the work ethic. And you said something about being curious and asking a lot of questions. I'm convinced that the more we can do that, really just being curious, not judgmental. I mean, questions can have a judgmental tone to them, but the more we ask questions to try to understand and unpack what folks' intentions are, or the program, or what they're trying to do, the more they see us as someone who wants to learn and maybe not judge. Judgment ultimately is part of it to some degree, but to get there, you have to be able to ask a lot of questions. So that's one of the things you're doing. Keith, what are you learning about yourself or about the Needham community?
Really about the community. It's the cohesiveness, the amount of teamwork that I've seen, that I've been a part of from the very beginning. We meet a lot, from our admin team to our guidance department, and really the supportive staff all together. We're really trying to get things done the right way, best support our students. And that's evident through, we had a couple of situations where decisions needed to be made in other districts that I worked in. You kind of feel isolated at times in making those decisions, and it really came from me as an administrator. But here, it's an administrative team decision. It's a Needham High decision on certain things. The amount of support that's given, as far as with me learning that I don't have to get things right the first time, is being able to try on new things and explore a little bit more and see how things work, and like you said, ask the appropriate question, ask questions, getting feedback, going back to the table, ask another question to go and moving forward. It's just all those things, that elements. I just had a child recently, last week, Jeremiah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Mention that at the end.
Yeah,
all right, so we'll stop right there. I was going to mention at the end, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
New member of the family, Jeremiah Ford.
Yep, Jeremiah.
What's Jeremiah's middle name?
He has several. Several.
Okay, go ahead.
So Jeremiah, Ayomide, Stanley, Peter, Ford.
All right. I'm not going to remember that. But
I know.
But congratulations, Jeremiah.
So, but with that, the amount of support that I've received, my wife and I received, the number of cards and emails and things like that, it got overwhelming to a certain point, especially being brand new to a district. You're seeing signatures of people that you don't barely even know, but for them to express their gratitude and support and love, it really says a lot. We're very blessed to be here in this situation, and it's really, it just rejuvenated my career as an educator to see really what a level 1 district is all about. And I see that here through the different, whether it's district meetings or whatever else. We're not settling for just high academic centers. We're looking at everything. We're looking at cultural proficiency. We're looking at our one-to-one technology, how to be more innovative and things of that nature. And that's, those certain things are important as far as staying on top. And that's something that I'm excited to be a part of, to bring some of the experience that I've had in other places to the table, but also see where we're going as a district 5 years from now. I'm excited for that.
Academically, we're a strong school, and we strive for that. But I think about one part of the program here at Needham High School in Needham, the athletic program, where because of the athletic leadership and the high school leadership, we don't focus on winning. We focus on supporting athletes to learn and to grow and to be part of a team and sportsmanship. And as a result, we've received numerous sportsmanship awards, championships, and they're a direct result, in my view, from having our leaders, building leaders, think about the entire child, not just this score or this grade point average or this trophy, but let's think more broadly about, in this case, as you mentioned, Keith, the whole child, and how can we support that child? Because it's my belief when we can look that way, we can support students to do amazing things. As we run on time, what were you going to say?
I was going to say one of the things that attracted me also to Needham was the focus on social emotional learning, and the fact that that is not just something that's said, but that you've already put a lot of action and emphasis on that. And it's great to see that at Newman in particular. You were mentioning the book that you guys are reading, The Other Westmore, and we're going to be reading the Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck, and a parent and teacher book group with The Gift gift of failure. So I was excited to be able to have those two opportunities as well, considering that I'm new in a new place and I have to maintain a growth mindset in order to be successful. So having the opportunity to watch that happen in the classrooms as well, and to integrate into what the teachers are doing, and the concerns that people have about how kids are progressing socio-emotionally is also a huge part of, I think, the success of Needham as a whole and Newman as a school.
I'm glad you brought up the books and the social emotional learning, because in your own growth and learning, we all have to continue to learn and grow and be curious and ask these questions. As our time winds down here, real quickly, I want you to think about what's one thing, if there's one thing you would want the community, parents, students, staff, to know about you. What's one thing that's important to share? Aaron, I'm going to start with you.
Well, this is going to seem like I'm just pulling on what we were just talking about,
It's okay.
but I really do firmly believe that it's essential that we all find that balance between staying healthy and staying focused on our work, whether it's schoolwork or whether it's our own jobs. That time with family, Keith just coming out of an experience with a third child, and it's essential that we are able to be present and focused on those while also working very hard and being dedicated to our jobs. And for our students to be able to focus on their academics and continue to learn those skills and that knowledge while being healthy people, while being happy people. I think that balance really is essential for each of us.
So seeking balance is one thing you want people to know is important to you. Greg, what's one thing that's important to you?
I'd build on that and say that, personally for me, my belief around public education is we have this gift, this opportunity to build your children, the children of this community, into citizens for tomorrow. That means that they're healthy in their relationships, they're healthy spouses, they're actively engaged in the ideas of the day, and that's a huge responsibility, and that's what I view as the most important aspect of education, much more than your math scores, your reading scores, etc. But are you going to grow up to be a well-rounded citizen who treats other people fairly and kindly and can work with others? Because I think that's the key to success in our current generation and beyond.
Participation and citizenship is something you want to know. Keith, what's one thing you want folks to know about you?
Really, that I'm a living testament of somebody else supporting me, somebody else believing in me, someone else seeing opportunities and pushing that out. And that's something that I want to do for all our students and staff here in Needham Public Schools, is be that one to push those, bring out the best in everyone, while supporting them throughout the journey, understanding that it is a journey, that is not if things happen, is when they do happen, how do you overcome that? How do you bounce back from those trials and tribulations? So really being a support to all, and really being transparent in that process.
You want folks to know that you will support them in their journey. I like that. Trelane, how about you?
Well, seeking balance, all of those things. But I think one of the things for me is understanding that I really and truly care about people and care about children in particular. One of the reasons I made the switch from middle school to elementary school is because I missed the aspect of actually growing kids from their smallest sizes, and I appreciate having the opportunity to do that. I really do enjoy working with elementary school children. So.
Well, I appreciate you being here. I've heard a lot, building relationships, seeking balance, and learning is kind of what seems to be the order of the day for all four of you in your new roles. So thank you for being here in Needham in your new roles. I look forward to you having a successful career here. And I often tell folks that personnel is job one. Student safety is really job one. Personnel comes right after that, but we have to really be picky about the folks we bring on board. And I think we've been really successful with the four of you, and I look forward to a great year and a great career for you. Thanks. And if you'd like to learn more about the personnel process in the Needham Public Schools, you can go to our district's website. Thank you for joining us today.